Okay, I've been trying to figure out how to present this information because on the one hand it's complicated, but on the other hand it's gorgeous. And if you're willing to stick through this, you're going to be completely blown away by God's genius. Okay, on the left-hand side of the screen you're seeing Psalm 90. This is the main chapter that the Jews used to formulate their claim with some justification that God has designed time to last 7,000 years. This is where they get it from. And we're going to walk through it a little bit. I've already done a lot of videos on this. It's my Psalm 90 playlist. The link will be in the sidebar. Here I'm going to focus on the millennial accounting. Okay, and I'm just going to look, in this video we're just going to talk about the numbers. It's probably going to run over 10 minutes, so it'll be more than, one video. I just want you to see the numbers because the genius of the numbers comes first, and then after I finish this video I'm going to deal with the genius of the content. Alright? Because on the left-hand side you're seeing Psalm 90, and on the right-hand side you're seeing a graphic map of the Hebrew of Isaiah 53. And Isaiah 53 is playing off the meter of Psalm 90. And in my Isaiah 53 Hypothesis 4 videos, I did a playlist on that also already last year, I showed the parade of the syllables. And that parade is summarized at the beginning of the Psalm 90 playlist. So just look at the Psalm 90 playlist first. Okay. If you can read the Hebrew, don't laugh too hard at the left-hand side of the screen. It will not justify properly. In other words, this is, it doesn't, the first part of the Hebrew sentence ends up going to the second line. Okay, and I can't do anything about that. I've tried and tried and tried, so just ignore that. Alright, instead just look at the numbers. Okay? Now here's the point about the numbers, and I covered this in the Psalm 90 playlist, but I'm going to briefly do it again. What both Moses and Isaiah do is they craft paragraphs, like this is a paragraph through verse 4. This is Psalm 90 verses 1 through 4. They craft a paragraph such that at the end of the paragraph the number of syllables is divisible by 7. Okay? This particular paragraph in Psalm 90 represents the decree of God and has 84 syllables in it. See, here's where the 84 is, right here. Okay? Now Isaiah plays off the decree of God at 84 syllables by putting 42, let me show you, 42 rather. He makes 42 syllables, wait a minute, my mouse isn't working. He makes 42 syllables here. In Hebrew, Isaiah 53 starts in Isaiah 52:13. So in Isaiah 52:13 and 14, he makes them equal 42 syllables. That's the big 42 that you see. And then he closes the decree by putting the answer to it, so to speak, in Isaiah 53:12, and that terminates the chapter. All right? So he's playing on Moses 84 there. Okay? Now the decree is is eternity past. The decree is 84 syllables because 70 of those syllables reference the 70-year voting period in the future millennium of Messiah. That's why Isaiah splits it. See, look. Here, you can look this up in the English. I can't get the mouse to work. Okay, Isaiah splits this up in the English. That's the decree of God to create Messiah. Okay, you can read that in Isaiah 52:13 and 14, and what Messiah will do, specifically with reference to the Jews. Matthew 1 plays on that. That's why he uses 42 generations. Okay, I'll be saying a lot more about that in a later video. Okay, The end of the decree, when Messiah is ruling forever, is in Isaiah 53:12. You can read that in your favorite translation and see that. Okay, how he inherits everybody. Isaiah 53:12 is mistranslated in all Bibles. I cover Isaiah 53:12 in my KJV only. The proper translation of it is that he inherits everybody, and all the English translations get that wrong. But just, until you see it for yourself in that video, just, take it on sort of faith here for right now, that that's what it is. I mean, it makes even sense. Isaiah 53:12 is about how Christ inherits everybody. All right? So that is part of the decree here in Psalm 90 verses 1 through 4. Now, Psalm 90 verse 4 is that 1 day is as 1,000 years, and you'll hear the Jews quote that a lot. The 1,000 years, as you've seen in previous videos in this part 10, show you that it's really 1,050, and that it's configured as 490 plus 70 plus 490. Okay, so when Moses crafts this at 84, he's talking about 70 plus 14. Now, the 14 is a very prominent number in Matthew 1. You're going to see why later as I go through this. But the 70 references the millennial period. So this is a clever accounting way, sabbatical accounting way, of saying, hi, here's the millennium, the future of, the Jews being vindicated and being queen of the nations. I think that's the Jewish term for it. Israel being queen of the nations in the millennium. All right, that's where it's located. And it's located by means of saying the 70 because it's a voting. He's crafting his whole poem by 70s. Now, the next thing that he does, that Moses does, is starting here in verse 5, verses 5 through 8, also constitute another paragraph. And if you look at the leftmost numbers, 17, 17, 16, and 20, see, here's where they are, 17, 17, 16, and 20, that's 70 syllables. Okay, so that is referencing, as I went through in the Psalm 90 playlist and showed you, that's referencing the first voting period of history at the end of the first 490 years after Adam's fall. The guy who voted was Adam, and because he voted, there was Seth. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong. Yeah, 5 through 8. Yeah, 5 through 8 is correct. Okay. Now, that's really important because in doing this, there is a play on words that's being used to say Seth's name. All right? And where is it? I think it's in, right here. This is where the play on Seth's name is occurring. Now, to those of you who can read Hebrew, you know that this is really at the beginning of the verse, and the verse is showing upside down. You also know that these are words that the Masoretes inserted. Okay, but the LXX confirms that those are the right words. It's just a question of whether it's Setah, one spelled one way, or Setah spelled another way. For you who speak only English, Setah is the name for Seth. Okay, and so this is actually the verb to appoint, and Seth means appointed, so it's a play on words. So the end of this first voting period, which runs from verse 5 to verse 8, okay, that's a joke in a way. I mean, it's a wry statement about the appointment got finished. Because why? Because the 490 period got finished and everybody voted. All right, so there were enough votes to actually continue time. That's why this is so witty, to have Seth's name embedded as a verb, okay, in verse 8. This is really the beginning of verse 8.